Welcome to Chatting with the Experts, a podcast for immigrant women from Africa and the Caribbean who have relocated to the UK or the US or Canada or even Australia. Here we talk about things that we have experienced, the struggles, the triumphs, and some of the disappointments that we might have experienced when we moved abroad. We also share resources that would be helpful to other immigrant women like ourselves. My guest today is a fellow African sister, Rahel Mwitula Williams, who lives and works in Chicago, and that's of course in the US. She serves as the lead designer of Ilava, which is a socially responsible lifestyle brand that uses fashion to empower women and inspire change around the world. Her role within Ilava has not only reinforced her passion for seeking global change, but it has also led to her ability to impact women and leaders across the globe through various opportunities. Woo woo! To name a few, Ilava was invited to showcase their latest collection at LA Fashion Week in 2017. And in 2018, Rahel had an opportunity to represent Ilava at Northwestern University through a TEDx talk called Redefining Philanthropy, Faces of Change Makers. Rahel, as I said, is from Tanzania. And wow, I'm always fascinated with my guests. I always say they're special. So she is, of course, special. But now I'm going to ask her to talk even more about herself because this is so mind-boggling. I don't even know where to stop. So Rahel, welcome to Chatting with the Experts.
Wow, thank you so much, Paula. I know we tried to do this in January, but technology will not let us be great. But you know what? We are not a quitter, so we just, everything happens for a reason. So I thank you for your flexibility, for welcoming me back in to share my story and my journey. So thank you so much. Um, as you mentioned, so I am from Tanzania, born and raised. I always say I was born and raised in Tanzania, but groomed in the south side of Chicago. Moved to United States when I was 12. So I did not choose Chicago or United States. I was a kid. So that was my parents' decision. But I always say, looking back at this age, I'll probably choose, maybe not Chicago in the winter, but I'll still choose Chicago. My parents migrate here in my father came in 89. He came to continue his education, and my mother joined him 6 months later, and then of course my sister and I came 2 years later. I'm sure a lot of us have that story. No, this stagnation of who comes first, prepare the way, and everybody else follows. So when I came, it was really hard. I was 12 years old, adolescent, as you can imagine, in any place. Being 12 years old, going on 13, it is a tough time. Your body's changing, your emotions are changing, everything about yourself is changing. And then you are in a place where it's a different culture. And I did not speak one word of English. I mean, we learn English in Tanzania just like a subject, like most schools here learn French or Spanish. You just know hola, como está, muy bien. That's much I knew about English. Hi, bye, my name is, right? So so when I came here, I say I did not speak English, but I went to an amazing because where my father was in school, we live in a very diverse neighborhood in Hyde Park. So I went to very good school, and I had a really nice English as a second language community and class that I had my own little kind of international. I would say our own little UN. So that group of students really helped me to define who I am, but it was hard, the bullying, the teasing, just imagine taking your leftover African food lunch to school at 7th and 8th grade, and everybody is like, ew, what is that? Are you going to eat that? And then you go home and you tell your mom, like, I don't want to take this to school anymore. Just imagine that store does not really go well with the African parent, and you are not getting McDonald's. There was days I pretend to be sick so I won't go to school. I cannot express myself because I did not know the language. So it was really hard. So I tell my parents, of course, there was opportunity to move him, like, but please, why would you move us at that time, but of course I can laugh about it then, but now I did not laugh it then, but now I can. But so the transition was hard, but I had my sister who's 2 years older than me, so we had each other, so it really helped the transition. So I had a very normal childhood. In terms of high school, I immersed myself in sports, so that really helped my confidence. And my accent to today, I still it's funny because I still have my accent, and people ask me why you didn't try to get rid of. I'm like, why would I try to get rid of my identity? So that's always been, even to today, people be like, wow, you have an accent? And I'm like, you do too. No, I don't. I'm like, are you mute? I mean, everybody has an accent. I always tell people trust and believe, and I always use Bill Clinton and George Bush. You cannot tell me they don't have those Southern Texas accent. I mean, come on. So I always tell people, if you have a spoken language, you have an accent. Everybody has an accent. You take somebody from New York, Mississippi, North Dakotans, and you put them together, their dialect is not the same. They have accents. So this notion that American standard of English is the final, it always bothered me. And people was like, but you have an accent. And I'm like, you do too. What is funny, when I go to Tanzania and I speak Swahili, they actually question me, like, you have an accent when I speak Swahili. So I cannot win. So I was like, you know what? Yes, I have an accent when I speak Swahili because my Swahili is being challenged because I've been in America for too long, and I have an accent when I speak English. So I'm like, you know what? That's a great compliment. I don't even see that as an issue. But growing up as a teenager, that was not a badge of honor that I like to. But as I mentioned, sports and just being active really helped me to define my identity. And I've always, my parents did not, they continued to send us home in the summer. So we were really connected to our culture and our family. So when I got to the age where I work in the summer, of course I did not go as often. Even as I was going to college, I've always knew going back to Tanzania, and that part of me is always gonna be who I am. So I started, and I always knew, like, and when we became U.S. citizen, it was different because, the movements were not the same, and I had to, like, I felt like I had to choose. So especially when I'm traveling to like European country or Caribbean, and people ask me where you from, I'm always pausing. Like, do I say Chicago, USA? Do I say Tanzania? Because as soon as I say Tanzania, it's almost like, but do you live there? I'm like, no, I live in Chicago. Well, then you're from Chicago. And then when I say I'm from Chicago, the first I'm like, but you don't talk like somebody from Chicago. So I can never win. So I'm always like, Chicago via Tanzania, Tanzania via Chicago, whatever. I have two places that I call home. So now to me, being able to say that I have two places that I call home and I do not have to choose is a pride of mine. I call Tanzania home. I call United States home, specific Chicago. So that has always been, but it was a journey to accept that and to embrace that. And it was not an easy thing because people always make you or force you to choose. Like, who are you? This notion like you can only be one or the other. I just refuse. I just refuse to believe that. Yes, there's some things that are very black and white, but every now and then, some of us leave this lukewarm gray area. And in my life, I feel like calling two places home and doing work that I'm able to, I don't like to say empower because I'm a woman of faith. Only God can empower somebody. I'm just merely a human being who has given the opportunity to connect with other folks and to help other folks. So I don't have the power to empower anybody to be anything. I'm just a vessel. So I know it's the language we use a lot, but I catch myself sometime when I say I like to empower because I don't have that power.
Yeah.
I'm just merely a vessel. I try to use the privilege and resource and the lesson that I've learned in the past. So life is too short for everybody to make all the mistakes. So I'm trying to learn, and those who have ears, especially young people who wants to hear about my journey, I'm all open and to share my story. So I've always, I know you mentioned that Ilava is
Yeah.
my business and that's what I
Yeah.
do, but Ilava is not the only thing that I do. Professionally, also, I am a full-time fundraiser for a nonprofit and I oversee their global funding. I work for faith-based organization and I oversee their global mission funding. So,
Okay.
for sustainability, hunger, development. So, I really enjoy and it gives me opportunity, especially when I get to raise funds for even though it's global. So, there's Latin America, there's Asia, but the continent of Africa is one of our biggest recipient of a lot of our
So I
funds.
want you to
So,
tell me.
it brings so much joy for me to be able to be the face of philanthropy and helping other people and inviting other people to make an impact in the world, in the continent that I love and that I
I
call
love it.
home. And yeah, so, but Ilava was my passion. I've always loved fashion. And every time during those childhood times I go home, I come back, I'm wearing my beautiful African print in a modern way. People are like, who did that? I was like, well, so and so when I was back home. And they're like, okay, when you go, when you come back, can you bring me something? So it started that way. And when I was in graduate school, I did my research and my thesis about grassroots women social entrepreneur and how they are key to economic development. So I'd interview women in Kenya and in Tanzania, those women that you see on the street that a lot of people have no respect for. There's nothing aggravate my soul when we talk about those women who are cooking, selling their product, their produce, or their sewing or beadwork, and we label them as unskilled,
So that's
right?
why I want you to talk about that because there are three things I'm hearing, three threads. There's the
Mm-hmm.
Ilava, there's
Mm-hmm.
the philanthropic work you do, and now you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about women that we see on the street. And I guess they're kind of interwoven into what you
Mm-hmm.
do, both with the philanthropy and I guess the Ilava is for
Mm-hmm.
profit.
Yeah, Ilava is for
Hmm.
profit, but then there is Ilava Gives Back. It's a non-profit arm of Ilava. So
Okay.
right, all those three are
So
intertwined.
I want you to talk about how they became intertwined because you'd mentioned that Ilava started primarily because when you were being bullied, when things were being, you were going through your
Mm-hmm. Home.
teenage
Mm-hmm.
difficulties of transitioning, which is very hard. I mean, if you, as you
Mm-hmm.
said, you came here as a 12 tween, yeah, 12-year olds, the tween,
12. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then you were put you had to find your way or you were immersed or you
Mm-hmm.
were just put into a school system that didn't understand you and you didn't understand them, so
Mm-hmm.
your outlet seemed to have been fashion, which has developed into
Yeah.
Ilava, which also has, now you
Yeah.
said, a philanthropic part, and then now you started talking about these women
Women,
that
women,
are on the
women,
street,
women.
which I think are all
Yeah.
part and parcel about of. So tell
Yeah.
us more about that.
Yeah. Great. So it's funny you say that because now I run and I have a business about fashion because I was so bored about how I dressed and wearing secondhand and payless shoes. I did not know about name brand. So it's funny that now I design and I style people
That's lovely.
for something that I actually was bullied and laughed about. It's just funny. So you're right. So when I was to college, I majored in psychology and I knew, but then I was like, I was not sure. Honestly, I majored in psychology because I was not sure what I want to
Hmm.
do. But there's one thing I've always knew. Whatever I was going to do has to connect me back home,
Okay.
Tanzania. But so I thought maybe international law, human rights, because I'm always to be an advocate. I'm always advocating for something. Always see opportunity. I'm grateful that when I see trouble, I don't see a negative thing. I always see like how can this be a opportunity to do something, right? An invitation to do something. So I decided to do my graduate study at DePaul here in Chicago, International Public Service. The title just made sense to me. It's international, it's public, and it's service. I was like, yes, I want to service, I want public, I want international. So during that time, I went to Kenya for study abroad. Honestly, I chose Kenya because Tanzania was not an option. I love you guys from Kenya. You know, we have this love-hate relationship. So while in Kenya, it's interesting because at that time, HIV and AIDS was like the trending thing, right? Everybody was, and so that's what I thought I was going to do. I literally went to Kenya. I was going to research about HIV and AIDS. However, while in Kenya, the whole thing fall apart. One of the things we were doing in Kenya, we were visiting just various women social enterprise, grassroots, women social. So, and what I saw, what they all had in common was if all these women were given the resource and connected to the right resource, they really, the talent and the skill set to really change their lives. And they're just missing that tool. They're missing that to to be able to scale to the next level. But also, it was bothering me. People keep calling them unskilled, unskilled. For some reason, if you are not in corporate America or you are not in Wall Street or wherever, anything else is unskilled workers. That thing always bothered me. I'm like, there's nothing about unskilled talent that this woman is doing because this is how she's feeding her children. This is how she is able to send her children to school. This is how she built her house. I don't care how small or unfit you think it is. It's her home. She put that roof there. She put those windows with the same unskilled quote unquote job that she has. So one of the organization I connected with was Kibera Paper Project. It's a you know organization in Kibera, Kenya. For those who do not know, Kibera is probably then was the second largest slum in
How
the
do you spell
world.
that?
Kibera, Kibera. And it is crazy because it's in the middle of Nairobi. You stand in Kibera, you can see some fancy golf estates. It's crazy. Yes,
Wow.
the disconnect. It was just so these women make greeting cards from recycling paper from A to Z, like A to Z, like amazing work. So I bought their cards, I brought them to Chicago, I framed them, I gave to my friend, I helped them. So for a couple of years, I was like, oh, I can help them to sell. But then that's when Ilava was born. I was like, in order for this to work, I need a plan. I need a strategic plan. I need a business plan. I need organization. And it gives me hope. I was like, you know what? Economic development, it lies on these women. These women know exactly what they want. They know they have skill set that they really can. They just need the market. And so that's how Ilava was born. Ironic, Ilava is actually my childhood name given to me by my maternal grandmother, and it means it can be done.
I love it. Back up on that. Ilava means it can be done.
It can be
So
done.
you didn't have to
So
have like a special committee, how to come about with this name. It just.
no, I was just, this is it. I was very clear. If anything, I was so clear is what I was going to name it. And I started very small with just greeting cards. I did not think so. I read, I was like, oh, doing business as, I did not register. So I was just like volunteer helping them. And then I start adding small things. Now, now Ilava has clothing line, but clothing line did not start until 2016 because I do not draw. No, I can sew. I can envision. I can pick prints. I can close my eyes and picture a beautiful outfit that I want to make. And these women and some men who works with Ilava are that talent that they can just listen to me and come up with an amazing
So
piece
are
of
these
work, you
women
know?
here in the United States, or are they those so-called unskilled
It was
women?
it's those so-called unskilled women and men. So
Oh,
this is interesting thing I learned. So going back, so Ilava start with those Kibera cards and we slowly added like jewelry, Masai bead, and then we had home decor. We just slowly but surely add different things. Remember, at this time I'm still working full time. And so my sister came along to start helping me to with the business, but we were really small. And because giving back has always been a big part of who we are, philanthropy and giving back. As an African, I always die laugh, and I talk about this on my TED Talk at Northwestern. I remember in college, a professor mentioned that uh, when you look at the list of philanthropy or people who are giving back, our names, African names, black people from the continent, we don't come up, right? Because we have a very untraditional way of giving. First of all, we don't give because we want a tax write off. Giving for us is in our DNA, is in our culture, right? You can imagine, ask any most African like how much money they send home every year to help that surgery, that school fee, that seed for farm. I mean, I always say we invent philanthropy. We just did not have the fancy name for it, but we are like blueprint of what giving back is. So I've always knew my business had to have that component. And not because I want to have a tax write off, I actually we did backwards. We give back our sales number, not our profit. This could be the worst business model we ever came up with, me and my sister, but it was really important for us to be able to give back during the growth stages of our business. Could be wrong. I guess time will tell how we are going to grow later on, but that part was really important. That's why Ilava Gives Back came along. So we partner with other nonprofit in Tanzania and in Kenya also, and we look for opportunities for us to engage others. So one of the project right now is called One Girl One Bike, that we donate funds to help buy bikes for those girls who have to walk 2 to 3 hours every day to go to school. So you know what that means? They in danger. This girl experience some danger things on their way, or men take advantage of them, rape. They drop out of school because of that. Then they don't go to school.
Yeah.
So we partner with the organization called Msichana Initiative, based in Tanzania, and they oversee that project. So every year, we based on the donation we receive here and sales, we donate bikes. I think so far we have done over 386 bikes in Tanzania, in the rural Tanzania. Also, we do what I call comfy periods with another organization in Tanzania, because uh, menstrual cycle is and transportation are the number two reason why a lot of girls in the rural Africa do not go to school. Believe it or not, these things that we take for granted here. Pads are very expensive. So for a girl can miss school for 7, 10 days a month because she cannot afford sanitary pads during her cycle. So we work with an organization that provide that. So we sponsor about 200 girls a year to be able to go to school. So for donating funds to be able to buy sanitary pads. So that's how giving back, and also the people we are working with, the women. So I wanted to say this: when we start, the intention was to work with women, because I was like, I want, women, women, women. Miss In the middle of our working, we realized the African culture, it is not very friendly to women who are working, because whether you like or not, that same woman is responsible 100% at home. So, and we are in Chicago. So when we go to Tanzania for production, we have 2, 3 weeks to finish production. So guess what? We have to work long hours. And most women have to leave about 3, 4 o'clock so they can get home and take care of their dinner, whatever other obligation they have. In the morning, they may have to be late because they got obligation at home before they get there. So I realized really fast, that's when my American capitalism kicked in really fast. What do you mean you have to leave at 3 o'clock? What do you mean you cannot get here until 9 o'clock? We only have 2 weeks to finish this. Then I realized that it's not just about giving an opportunity for an employment. There's a whole culture needs to change about how we see women and working women in our culture. So we have couple of men now working with us for a couple of reasons. Number one, because we need people to work longer hours, and most men can do that. And number two, to have that gender conversation at the workplace,
And
so they can see themselves working with men and women. Then these men now seeing these women like, this can be your wife. So how would you feel if your wife works here? How would you want other men to treat
that's
your wife?
great.
And then see them as their equal and the peer, and also to see themselves as their one, is not this, I'm better than you, and and women to be able to see themselves, I can make as good of a dress just the same as that man. It just, again, empower them, just give them the confidence. They never, that setting of work, normally those kind of work is either like only women, only men. So now having that interaction has really helped the dynamics in the homes too, and for them to see themselves like we are peers, we are colleagues. And even for myself and my sister, when we are there working, we are there from we wake up with, we are opening the shop, we are working, we eating the same meal, we are doing the same work. Like, you don't like, that's another stigma that we are killing, because most kind of this work, there's this high, like, I'm the boss, so I'm sitting in my big sofa drinking my nice Coca-Cola, those African, but I be in Tanzania, like, looking as rough as anybody else, sitting in the hot sun, because where our shop is, it's like outdoor. It's open space, so we get fresh, wind, and people comes in and they'll be like, "Oh, who's in charge of operating this?" They never assume it will be me or my sister, because we look young, we are women, we are local. Again, the work that we do normally is associated by a white person went back to the continent and giving back. Giving back, doing something with that population, the so-called unskilled, it's never associated with us. It's always associated with that white person who was a Peace Corps volunteer, fell in love with the country. Now he or she is back, giving back, right? Those are the stories that you
And
hear.
I'm glad,
Those are the
I'm
ones.
glad, I'm glad that you and your sister are changing the narrative. You are making it, well, in both ways. You're changing the narrative in that, as you said, you are influencing the culture, because I know, being an African too, that it's a patriarchal society, so it's the
Yes.
man is in charge. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
demeaning man,
No.
but at the same time, I mean, we live in the 20th century, so we need to, be aware that in order to eat I mean, in order to feed your family, you've got to adapt. And so I love what you and your sister have done, which is now you have brought both men and women to work together. So as you
Mm-hmm.
say, they're learning from each other. The man is seeing, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
is how these women are working, and vice versa. The women are seeing that, well, what a man can do, a woman can do as well.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, on the other hand, you've also brought in a bit of the American culture to say, we can all work together. Even though I'm the
Mm-hmm.
boss, I'm here working side by side with you. There's no,
Mm-hmm.
because our society too does
Of-
authoritarian. I'm the boss.
Very. I'm the
So,
boss. Yes, you know it, Paula. You know it. It
so
is. It's a
yeah,
damaging, and it's a very damaging. It is, and again, the time, also the Western culture of
yes,
time, right?
matters.
Because we have this tendency of like, take your time, like,
African
and so
time.
even teaching the, yeah, and time is
Yes,
money. So I'm like, time is money, and you don't have it. It's one. I always say, remind myself, it's one of non-renewable resource that we tend to waste.
exactly. You
It's
can
like
never get it back.
it can never get it back. So that, even that concept, but also they're teaching me to slow down.
Mm.
So it's a
So it's a
learning, like,
win-win.
on both ends. It's a win-win, because my American culture kicks in, and I'm like, bullseye,
Let's
like,
go.
like,
Let's
let's
make
go,
it
let's
happen.
do
Yeah,
this, but then it's like, it's okay. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to relax. It's, so finding that balance.
so I'm going to ask you a question now. So where are you? Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all good things have to come to an end, and we've been talking about this amazing business and philanthropy,
Mm-hmm.
and the intersectionality of all of it. So where
Mm-hmm.
are you now with everything? With Ilava, with
Mm-hmm.
the philanthropic work you're doing with
Mm-hmm.
the one girl, one bike. Is that it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one
This is
and comfy period. Comfy. We say comfortable
okay.
period. So we
Comfy.
want them to have a comfortable
Yeah.
period.
Where are you
So
now?
they
I mean, this is 2021. 20. Oh my God.
true.
This is 2022. Come on, Paula. Yeah, yeah. The year has changed. Where are
Mm.
you? I'd love to know that so that we can, tell people how to find you, how to give, and as you say,
Yeah. So Ilava is still growing. We are at the place where we want to be able to scale. We are looking for retail partners to be able to kill some of our amazing, where it's February, so we tend to be busy because everybody want to wear some African prints because it's Black History Month, and this is the moment that I want to remind people African fashion is not a trend, it's a lifestyle. So our tagline is always it's a lifestyle, not a trend. Because I am black, I'm African all year long. I just don't wear African print in February. So I challenge for those who have that mentality to really think about that. If you go to our website, you can shop. You can it's my Ilava, it's MYILAVA.com. There you will see we have a new arrival coming soon. Actually, we were supposed to have it this week, but again, the production is a little bit behind. So it should be up and available new arrival by February 15. And then there you also see opportunity to give back. So even though Ilava donate portion of our sale, we do it between 10 and 15%. It depends on the year and the sales number. But because Ilava Gives Back is a registered nonprofit, you can still donate towards the One Girl One Bike. It costs $75 to for one bike, and the reason that's the price, not only we buy those bikes locally so we can stimulate the economy. We don't ship bikes from United States. Also because bike made to go ride in United States are not the terrains in the continent. So you take your fancy little bike from here, you put that on the village, it's gonna be bust and broke in 2 days because the terrains they are different. So we buy them locally. One, to stimulate the economy. Two, because the bikes made to for the terrains of the Africa, Tanzania is different from here. And also we provide the kids with the locks to be able to lock their bike, transportation from the city where we buy the bike to the village. So all of that equals $75. And believe it or not, it costs $2 to sponsor a month to sponsor one girl.
say that
So
again.
you can
Two
imagine
dollars.
$2 to sponsor one girl a month. So I always tell women, just remember when you are going to the store, buy your self care things, think about that. You can donate, what I'm bad at math, 2 times 12 is what,
Mm-hmm.
24. So for $24 a year, you can sponsor one girl to be able freely, comfortably be able to go to school without thinking about where her next sanitary pad is going to come from. So if you can definitely donate to one of those two projects, and we are always looking for other organization in the continent. Now, people ask me, I just want to say this, Paul, I know we don't have a lot of time, why not Zambia or Zimbabwe? I'm from Tanzania and I had to start where I'm not necessarily married to Tanzania. I am married to the continent. So when God willing, Ilava grows and we're at the place where we have partners in other countries, whether it's Malawi, whether it's Senegal, whether it's Zimbabwe, and we're able to grow and to start working with the other nonprofit there or even make our production there. I was in Senegal last summer. Oh my God, the fashion there is amazing. The clothes, I was like, oh my God, I would love to incorporate that. So it's all about resource and capital. So we are hoping to grow, to scale, and to be able to incorporate other fashion from the continent and other nonprofit. I'm all about the girls because I was once a girl who was bullied, who didn't had to find a way to love her culture and to love who she is. And so every time I see that little African girl, I see Rahel. And I've made my life mission to forever serve that girl, to see that girl, to honor that girl, and to tell her that I see you, I hear you, and you are amazing. So I am. This is why I do this, and I'm just grateful to be able to do that and to have a job that actually allows me to invest back in my passion and what I love, and to give back to my beloved continent of Africa. So yeah. Oh, I am just grateful to be able to give back and to do the work that allow me to serve my beloved, the continent of Africa. I laugh because I tell people it's the continent of
Thank
Africa.
you.
So people,
Not the country of Africa, the
not the
continent.
continent of Africa, and specific Tanzania. And again, I am God willing, I'm open. Whatever the wind takes us to the continent, we'll go, and we'll love people support.
Absolutely. This has been absolutely. I'm lost for an adjective. Fill me in with one. Give me one. This has been. I enjoyed to see the passion and the that
Thank
you
you.
have, for the work that you do. As you said, it's not just for you. It's for, first of all, the
Yeah.
continent of Africa, and then when we niche it, the country of Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Yes.
Yeah, and I want them to see themselves. And this is gonna sound so weird. I tell people this. I'm no Bill Gates. I'm no Oprah. But trust and believe each one of us, you are Bill Gates and Oprah to somebody.
Yes.
You are. And when I am back home, I'm in those village and I see these little girls and they see me, and it's not about my ego. It just reminded me to work harder, and there's nothing's too small when you're doing
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Just imagine $2, $75. That is millions to
Yep.
somebody. Somebody's future
Yes.
depends on
Absolutely. You
that.
can change a whole generation just by that.
Trajectory.
Go to
Hmm.
school.
Hmm.
Education makes a world of difference. I saw it when I lived in
Yeah.
Nigeria. Just the fact that somebody became a university graduate there, as you said, we always give back. That's our culture. So they look back into the family
Hmm.
and you train the next person, put them through school, and that person in turn, then you have a generation of educated people, and that makes a world of difference. Your mindset changes, you
Yeah.
see growth.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
Oh, I always say that endless. So where's Ilava? We are ready to see the endless possibility where this can go.
I love it. And as you say,
Endless.
being Black History
Yes.
Month is nothing better than being able to showcase someone who says African prints are not a trend. Then this is not a trend,
It's a
it's a lifestyle.
lifestyle. Baby, when I take this off, I'm still African. It runs in my blood. It's in my vein. It pumps daily, you know.
It's
It's my lifestyle. It's who I
a
am. So, but
lifestyle.
I express it with clothes,
Yes.
and that's what it is. So I welcome people to do the same.
Thank you. Thank you. So, as we come to an end, remind our listeners where they can find you online. Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Tell us.
Yeah. So, online is www.myilava.com. Our Instagram, same thing, hash is myilava. Facebook, myilava. We made it easier, so you can definitely follow us, connect with us. We'll go back to writing our newsletter to share more content about our stories and sharing the stories. So, yes, myilava, myilava.com, and all the social media are myilava.
myilava.com. It
Yes,
can be
come.
done.
Be done.
Com.
Yes.
You've been featured
Hmm.
on TEDx, Fox News, and Fox 32, and
Hmm.
the Huffington Post or HuffPost.
Often, but yeah, we are a part of Chicago Fair Trade, which is an amazing organization that allows us to connect with like-minded businesses. So it has opened up doors for a lot of opportunity to be featured in news and share our stories. So
Love it,
yes.
love it. And so, for my listeners, if you have just enjoyed what you heard from another fabulous guest on Chatting with the Expert, please head over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to podcasts, and follow us and also click subscribe. And if you are an amazing woman, just like Rahel from Africa, the continent of Africa, not the country, mind you. There's no country of Africa, or from the Caribbean, and you found these stories or this show fascinating when we showcase our sisters from these regions of the world. If you'd love to be a guest, why not head over to my website, which is chattingwiththeexperts.com/contact us, and let's chat.
Thank you. Asante sana.
Tell us what that means.
It's thank you in Swahili.
Asante Sala.
Thank you very much. Exactly. Thank you very much. Sana is much. So asante sana.
Love it, love it, love it, love it.